Well, guys, it has been a crazy weekend. I wanted to get this video to you out on Friday. I really did, but life on the homestead has other plans. First, a caliper went out on our taco, which ended up damaging an entire wheel, which meant we had to do a full replacement. And since we live out in the middle of nowhere, that turned into a 5-hour round trip to the nearest city with a discount tire. Now, 4 tires later, I got back just in time to nearly lose an eye to a chicken I raised. Rude. Several storms are just now rolling in. So needless to say, I got a little sidetracked. But hey, it's better late than never. So no hair, no makeup today. Just me chatting with y'all about something I learned out here on the homestead. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Today, we are going to be going over installing a water well onto our property, the where to start, what to look for, and of course, the age-old question, how much is too much when it comes to price? If you are just starting your raw land adventure, or maybe you got here by mistake, or even if you just want to tell me how wrong I am in the comments, I am here for you. As always, if you're looking for something specific and you hate long drawn out videos that take forever to get to the meat of the conversation, I have put the link to the transcript of this video in the description. Click and search that document for any info you may want to skip to. Any information I share is based off personal experience in my geographical location. All info in this video will be an attempt at generic coverage, but I may disclose some personal anecdotes. I'll try to keep those to a minimum, especially if they aren't going to be helpful to you. As soon as you close on your raw land, there will typically be 2 things pressing to get installed in order to make life somewhat comfortable as you begin building: power and water. My first instinct was to say water, let's install water first. But after looking into the operations of a well, especially a modern setup, including the right pump with an appropriate amount of lifetime age acceptance and constant pressure, we realized we were going to need power to the well first. Plus, in our contract, we got up to 400 feet of underground power set up at no cost, so that helped make that decision for us. Once we had our power connected, we began looking into water well drilling companies in our local area. Now, before I go into my personal well story, I will share the basics for what you should know before you call and speak with the pros, so you can sound educated and better able to make an informed decision. Number 1. When requesting a quote online, if the company just sends you a reply back with a generic quote, doesn't take the time to call and ask you questions about the usage of the well or how many buildings you're going to be needing to fuel, or whether it's just an agriculture or human consumption well, I would kick all of those out of your contemplation pile. No joke, these aren't worth even looking at, because the quote they have given you is the bare minimum. The odds your well will cost way more than that is fairly high. And number 2 is remembering that a quote is just a guesstimate. Mother Nature's and will turn your entire project upside down while laughing at your rocking form as your drool just, slips from your muttering lips. But seriously, just take these quotes as guidelines with a grain of salt, or however you want to look at them. I would just not hold the companies to the original quotes. They don't really have any control over the land any more than you do. So, grace is a must. Number 3, questions to ask or how to prepare for an on-site visit from a drilling company. Pretty straightforward if you know what to ask and what you're looking for. I got prepared by accidentally reaching out to the right company, a company that, actually called me back. After having received paper quotes from other companies, this just felt like fresh air. How it typically works, or how I had experienced it working, is you will be asked to complete a very basic form online on the company's website, which is meant to give them a generic overview of what you're looking for in a well. But none of the companies so far had reached back out after the submission of my form for further clarification. They just sent the quote, "Hey, you want 500 feet dug here? Well, here you go." But instead of doing that, this company reached out to ask some amazing clarifying questions, which was, again, he also took the time to educate us on equipment, pumps, holding tanks, and the process, what to expect, and how long it may take. This was what set the ground rules for how we would make our decision. He helped guide us into the right direction with some questions we wanted to ask, as well as prepare us for questions other companies would ask. Now, for this video, I'm not going to go through each of these questions line items of prep, but I am going to add a link in the description that will take you to a document that I created to help you prepare for this shopping experience. This document is free with unlimited downloads. Feel free to print it out, add or remove items as they become relevant, and then pass to any neighbors or friends. Now, of course, the document will have a QR code that will send your friends to this video. So you're basically sharing for me. So thanks. Number 4, and I'm really going to hate myself, but I don't have another way of putting it. It's the vibe check. Once you have a list of companies and their quotes, you've had on-site visits, and you're selecting your well location, now you have to decide which company to go forward with. And this is why I call it, for lack of a better term, the vibe check. Because you're going to have many quotes that all have different hardware and technology that you'll want to take into consideration. Like pricing, of course, is crucial to many, me included. But then it really comes down to how you meshed with the company. I'll give you this example, how we made our final decision. Who was willing to embrace newer technology and equipment and was willing to work with us, wasn't going to nickel and dime us. So we chose based off of gut feeling and how we got along with the owner of the company. We chose a company that was somewhere in the middle of price, but he was chill as and that's how we knew he was going to be honest when final pricing came back. He also only asked for $1,000 down, while others were asking for half down. So, we just went with the vibe check. Okay, so as a quick recap for those who really don't want to go through my whole story, here's what you should prepare for. And number 1, don't go with the cheapest option. And in my opinion, just toss out the quotes that don't engage with you about your project. Number 2 would be quotes or guesstimates and subject to change based on your well and what is required of the company to get you the desired water quality. Number 3 is to prepare your questions and answers in order to sound engaged, knowledgeable, and ready to move forward with this process. It is amazing. You'll be amazed at how well you'll be treated if you can respect you for the research you have put into your project. And 4, you are going to be picking someone who will be on your property for upwards of 7 weeks. So pick someone you don't get the heebie-jeebies from, someone you feel be honest about pricing changes, and also someone you would want to recommend to your neighbors. Because remember, they should always pass that good vibe check. Now, if you're wondering how all these steps worked for me, feel free to keep watching for my personal experience in water well shopping and installation. If not, no hard feelings, but like, share, and subscribe if you'd like to follow along with my journey. Now that we had power, we were ready for a well. After speaking to some neighbors and some locals in town, we heard of a great company, but they were expensive. Then we heard of a competing company that was charging way less, just way less. So our immediate reaction was, yeah, let's get on that waiting list. But hold up, okay? We had to pump the brakes there. Now, I am going to caution you here because I have been in the banking and financial industry in my professional life for near 15 years. And when I hear of a deal that's too good to be true, my brain says it probably is. So we chose to wait, and we saved up some cash, hoarding it away in our savings while we shopped around and watched our neighbors install different wells around the landowner community. And honestly, I am so glad that we did that because, sure enough, the cheapest was not the way to go. Harsh reality for some, but I definitely benefited from their lessons learned. And that's how you have to think about it, is we learn from each other. And that's what this community is all about. And now I'm sounding like a project manager. So sorry, y'all. Okay, so after speaking with a very knowledgeable and kind well driller who engaged us and taught us how we should be treated through this shopping experience, we began to ask for more quotes. We ended up getting callbacks from companies that said they didn't work in our area but knew of a local company that was really good. Great reputation out here. And this just happened to be that same company that everyone in the local area had also been recommending. And, you'll recall, was super expensive. So we held off on contacting this company because I just didn't want to spend that cash, because we could be doing so much more. It's just a lot. And we have other projects going on. But eventually I bit the bullet and I submitted a request for a quote with this super expensive company. And we'll call them A Will Drilling Company. Well, the owner of A called me back and spoke with me while I was on my lunch break at work, since I had come prepared with some questions that I gathered from speaking with Old Kind Well Drilling Company. The gentleman on the phone sounded impressed that we'd been doing our research. He asked if he could meet us on our property and do a little walkthrough and then provide us the quote, which actually was also very nice. Having someone on site is definitely a bonus. Now, the on-site meeting was scheduled, and then the owner of A came out to see the land. We showed him where we wanted the well drilled, and we also got to meet. He got to meet me and my partner, and the two dudes spoke while I looked at the quotes, slightly surprised that he was actually quoting several thousand less than the Old Kind company was quoting. And when I asked him about the price, he mentioned the updated pump and the technology, which would provide our ranch with exactly what we wanted, which was constant water pressure, because we're in the Pine Belt of East Texas. Being prepared for forest fires was one of the main reasons we had thought about getting the well in before the power even, because we're just in a tinderbox out here. But the modern technology that A was introducing us to was exactly what we were looking for. So he fit that vibe check, and we asked about the down payment. Again, also pleasantly surprised by him only asking for the $1,000 when so many people were quoting half down now, half upon installation, and that's pump installation, which is typically the last thing apparently installed before they clean up and leave your land. So that being said, they put us on their waiting list, which was scheduled for mid to late February, and they over-delivered once again when they showed up and asked if it would be okay if they began drilling at the beginning of February. So, of course, I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So please get that sucker in the dirt. So they brought out their drilling rig, their backhoe, and a big old water rig. Another thing I didn't realize was how much water was needed for drilling a water well. And they need actual water to drill the water well, so go figure. So keep that in mind. Now, here's where Mother Nature, the old Amenefer, came in. These poor guys were out here for 3 weeks. They drilled in 2 different places. The second, near enough to where we had originally asked for the well to be placed in, but it seems like our sandy soil was, in fact, sandy, and this caused the hole to collapse a lot of times, several times. The casing got dropped and never heard from again, and then the bedrock became undrillable in one area. So time and time again, we were hitting these roadblocks. Well, finally, they asked if they could wait a few weeks while the soil dried up and then come back, and in the meantime, they would pack up and begin drilling elsewhere. Now, needless to say, this wasn't ideal. I had to wait my term, and I really, really wanted my water well. But what was I going to do? Like, you can't really do anything. So they left, and we were counting the weeks, which was not great. But after the 3rd week arrived and my frustration was rising, I sent a text asking if they were waiting for it to stop raining forever or if they would be back to drill our well. I was losing patience at this point. I am sorry, guys. I had been hoping to have my well installed by the 1st of March, but now here we were at the beginning of April. I hadn't been able to start my garden, and it was getting really irritating having to burden my gracious, most generous neighbor for another month of asking for a water supply. Now, I'm going to pause for a huge shout out to our neighbors who had allowed us to use their well for shower, toilet, dishwater over the past year. Oh, lifesaver. So the guys came back out, asked us if we would be okay with moving the well location up closer to the front of the property. Now, at this point, I was fine with wherever they wanted to put the well. I just wanted water. But of course, Rich had hoped the well would be located closer to our primary power with the transformer and fuse boxes, which would have made connecting the well to power a lot easier on us. Mostly him. He's the power guy. But because he loves me, he agreed we could keep the well closer to the front of the ranch to hopefully make things easier on our drilling guys and to make Danny happy and get water. After another week and a half, we finally had water, clean, clear, non-sulfur smelling water the day before my birthday. No matter how painful draining our savings account was that day, it was worth it. In my book, it's not cheap. It takes patience, grace, and a whole lot of aspirin, but it is worth it. Well, thanks for joining me on my well drilling adventure, friends. And after you click the like button, don't forget to share the links in the description with anyone in your life who is getting ready to embark on their raw land endeavor. Alrighty, friends, stay active, stay informed, and always remember you are built different. See you in the next one. All right. Nice.